An investigation and recovery effort continues tonight in the waters of the Potomac River, a day after a deadly midair collision between an Army Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines regional jet. Crews recovered 2 black boxes from the jet today. Officials say all 64 passengers and the crew of 4 on the jet and the 3 soldiers in the chopper are presumed dead. A preliminary report from the FAA says staffing at the Reagan Airport tower was not normal at the time of the crash, and President Trump is blaming the crash on diversity. Here's NBC's Lester Holt.
Terrifying moments in the skies over Washington, D.C.
Crash. This is Alert 3.
An American Airlines regional jet colliding with an Army Black Hawk helicopter, both plummeting into the frigid Potomac River.
Did you see that?
It was about 8:40 p.m. The American Eagle flight from Wichita, Kansas was just seconds from landing at Reagan National Airport with 60 passengers and 4 Charlotte-based crew members on board. 3 people were on the Black Hawk chopper, including at least 1 experienced pilot, according to U.S. military officials.
One of the keys to the investigation will be understanding the level of situational awareness in both cockpits and the tower. Were they seeing and talking about the same things? Was there a shared understanding? And did they understand the picture rapidly forming around them?
NBC News has learned staffing was not normal in the air traffic control tower at the time of the crash, but still acceptable by FAA standards. At one point, a controller can be heard trying to keep distance between the helicopter and the plane. The collision caught on EarthCam video. Ahmad Raza was at the airport to pick up his wife from a business trip when her plane went down.
I always pick her up from departures, and I always help her load the bag into the car and give her a big hug and a kiss, and then off we go. I had dinner waiting at home.
What do you want us to know about your wife?
My wife was such a giver. She gave and she gave and she gave, almost to the point of where she didn't think about herself enough.
They were college sweethearts. Now he is waiting to claim her body.
We are just counting down the hours until my phone here rings and we can go pick her up.
About 300 first responders worked through the night, pulling bodies from 35-degree dark and icy waters. Despite the massive rescue effort, by morning, it had turned into a recovery operation.
We don't believe there are any survivors.
On the flight from Kansas, several members of the U.S. figure skating community, including athletes and coaches, along with 2 Russian world champion skaters. Ross Lancel's ex-wife was a skating coach on board. He spoke with our Washington station, WRC.
It's tough, like, they're gone. That's what kills me, is these kids. Because I work with kids all day. It's just one of those things where you don't want to see anyone go through this.
Teresa Terry's daughter skated with 2 of the victims.
She was just absolutely devastated. There's just no words to describe. It's just unimaginable.
The Army has not identified the 3 people in the Black Hawk, which was conducting routine night training in the high-traffic airspace.
The helicopter obviously was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Today, the president offered his condolences.
We grieve for every precious soul that has been taken from us,
while baselessly suggesting diversity or DEI initiatives contributed to the crash.
We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system.
When asked how he could blame DEI, this was Trump's response.
Because I have common sense, okay?
The NTSB is leading the investigation and is the only agency authorized to release information about a cause.
We already have nearly 50 people on scene.
Jennifer Homendy is the chair of the NTSB.
Is this one of the worst fears of the NTSB?
Yes, it is. And it's actually something that I warned about before Congress when I last testified on aviation safety, that this is exactly our worst fear. And here, we are investigating a tragedy that we haven't seen in years.
We asked her about not normal staffing in the control tower when this happened.
What's the NTSB response to that?
That's not new to us. We have seen low staffing in other towers.
This is the first deadly commercial plane disaster in the U.S. since 2009, when 49 people died during a crash landing in Buffalo, New York. Now, families of the 67 are facing a new reality as they learn their loved ones were on these doomed flights.
As Lester mentioned, several members of the U.S. figure skating community were on that passenger jet when it crashed yesterday. A Boise family in the tight-knit skating community is speaking out after the tragedy. Sarah Mullane told KTVB her son, Louis, was friends with many of the, quote, bright and talented youth athletes who died. The 15-year-old was just in Wichita competing in the U.S. figure skating championships. She says, quote, everyone is devastated by this unspeakable tragedy, and we hold the victims' families closely in our hearts, end quote.